Hey, what's up, YouTube? Good to see you guys out today. Today's gonna be a little bit different. Obviously, you're seeing me here in camera, and that's definitely a different thing. Also, you're gonna be seeing the music that I'm listening to at the top left of the screen there, because I'm actually setting up for streaming, as you can see. So things are gonna be a little different for this little episode, since that I'm not going to be talking about warding spots or anything like that today. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the things that you guys want to hear about that I'm going to do. A lot of you have been asking me a lot of questions, so I figured I'd answer some of those questions. So let's get started with that. First question would be, Aigey, why don't you make longer videos? Don't worry guys, I will be making longer videos. I will when I get into more in-depth conversational sort of things when it comes to talking about what we need to do in the lane. For example, how a laning phase should go for bottom lane, how a laning phase should go for mid lane. Once I start talking about those specific set of things, then the videos will start to get a little bit longer and have a lot more information in them. As far as that goes, that's basically what I'm going to be doing there. So after that, it's just my videos will get longer. I will do full-length video games discussing the types of things that you should be doing as a laner and a jungler, when to get Baron, when to get Dragon, things like that. Also, I'll be having some other people help me out with those videos and higher elos, so we can see some of the things that they do at the higher elos, such as like Diamond, Challenger, even Platinum, Gold, just all the different kinds of things that go through the mindsets of the different players at the different elos. So that'll be how objectives over kills should go. That's how I want to do things. It just really depends on getting things rolling and really getting things started. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. Second thing I'd like to mention is epic friend time. You see me here, you see that I'm kind of setting up for like a streaming environment, because yes, I would like to start streaming. I'm going to start streaming, I promise that. I've also have a Twitter account that I'm going to be using as well, and I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter. If you want to follow me, I will have the link down below at the description, and I will also have the link probably somewhere in the video somewhere. There's also a subscribe button above. I would appreciate that from you guys. If you're new to this channel and you've caught interest in some of the things that I'm doing, this is something that I want to do for you guys, because I really want to stay connected with you guys and make sure that I'm on top of the things, since that you guys are what make this awesome. So whenever you guys leave me comments, I do read them, I do look over them, and I do notice them. Somebody mentioned, and let's talk about the next thing. Somebody mentioned that I should do streaming for Epic Friend Time. Well, this is the beginning. I'm going to start streaming it. I want to stream it. So it's just a matter of getting everybody on at the same time to stream it together. Also want to do some in-house games with you guys where I invite the streamers in to come play. Stream giveaways is another thing that I want to work towards, and definitely want to make sure that I include you guys as much as possible for the Epic Friend Time and playing with Epic Friend Time and people from it. So we're definitely going to do that. Also, people have been asking me about how I play Zyra, so I'm going to be making a video guide about how to play support Zyra, since that is where I like to play her the most. She is still a very viable mid laner. However, I feel that she does very well bottom lane, so I want to show you guys exactly what she does bottom lane, her strengths and her weaknesses, and how to play with or against Zyra if you are not playing as Zyra and you're going bot lane with her. Since that she's very aggro, but she's also very passive. She has a very good engage, but she also has one of the best disengages. So I'll definitely get into that in a later video. And some of you guys have said that you want to see me do more of the crazy hype videos. I will definitely be getting into that. I definitely want to do a support hype video, so I will be working on that, I promise you guys. Alright, and on top of that, there's some other things that I really want to go over. Like today I'm actually this is gonna be one of my longer videos, since that you guys have been requesting longer videos. I'm definitely gonna make it longer. So we did the little Q&A that I answered, so now we're gonna talk about some of my favorite supports. I'm gonna talk about 5 of my favorite supports. So let's get started with that. we'll go into the champions here, and we'll look up some stuff. Alright. I'll just go ahead and support it, or sort it by support. I'll support it. Here we go. Alright, so here's the support list. Obviously, there's champions in there that can go bot lane that aren't listed, and I'll talk about them as well. Supports. We'll talk about my top 5 supports. So, my absolute favorite support that I really enjoy, even enjoy playing, would be Janna. Janna is one of my absolute favorite supports. I feel that she's kind of difficult to learn, but I feel that she has some of the best disengage and engage combos for a team. Not only that, but the tailwind that gives her entire team 5% move speed when close. I feel that's a really good aura. That makes it really easy for your carry in lane to dodge abilities and skill shots. So when it comes to that passive, that's a very strong passive, because being able to navigate around the map quickly, I feel that makes it very good for a support. Her Q, which is Howling Gale, I believe that it is a very good ability. It is something that stuns. It's a hard CC. It's not instant. It's not instant hard CC, but it is definitely a very good CC. It's something that forces them a displacement, so Yasuo can ult off it if you have a Yasuo on your team. So when I talk about like team comp discussions later, we can really get into some of the combos that happen there. On top of that, it's just a really good ability in general, since it's an AoE knockup. That's a really good ability in my opinion. I really like those kinds of abilities because it's good for engage, it's good for disengage. Same thing in tandem with her Zephyr, allows her to move through minions without, you know, receiving the minion block that most other champions do. On top of that, the WQ combo, you can slow them and then knock them up for easy kiting for your carry if you want to make a kill. So those two abilities there are really good on Janna. The next thing that I'd like to talk about with Janna is her E. Eye of the Storm. It's very good, scales with AP, but the best thing is that it allows you as a support to trade with a carry in lane, which I will show footage of that at a later date. But it'll allow you as a support, I think I said carry earlier, but it will allow you as a support to trade with the enemy carrier very easily, since that at early levels you can shield yourself, go in, poke the AD carry, you'll get the extra AD, and then you'll get free damage on the carry and then be able to get out. And that's why I like that ability. And then last but not least, her ultimate. A lot of people just say, oh, it's just a disengage and get out. Not necessarily. Sometimes it is a disengage or an engage with meta tanking, because if you use her ultimate as long as possible, then what you're doing is you're not only displacing the entire enemy team, but you are healing your team at the same time while they're team fighting. So technically, you're giving them immense lifesteal that they wouldn't otherwise have. So it's definitely a great thing to have that kind of ultimate and then know how to use it properly. Because yes, you can just ultimate and then it'll all be good and then you just be great as out, whatever. But if you actually know how to properly use that ultimate, then you'll definitely make more of a benefit towards your team in a team fight. So that's why I like Janna the most. I personally do not play Janna because I believe she's a very high skill cap. It even says here, I feel it's very high to play Janna. Very difficult to play her. So if you have the patience and dedication to learn Janna, then I believe that that is phenomenal. I believe that Janna mains are some of the best support players that I've ever met. The next support that I find very good that I really like is actually Nami. Not necessarily the same kit, but she does have some of the same things that I enjoy. So, what happens is that her passive is when she hits a when she hits a I almost said challenger. When she hits a champion with one of her abilities, what happens is they get move speed, which is very good. Kind of like Janna, only hers is You just have to be near her, and you get 5% move speed, which is very good. So let's say that you need to get to lane faster, you want somebody to move faster, then you can heal them, which is one of the things that I like. I really like Nami's W, because for early game, if you start W, what you can do is you can trade with the carry or the support very easily. Since that Ebb of Flow, or Ebb and Flow, is an ability that goes from you to one of the other champions, and only them, you only trade with them. So if you're within range, you can auto attack, heal yourself, and then auto attack again for a maximum amount of damage and free trading, which is kind of like Janna. Being able to trade for free in lane is very beneficial, in my opinion. In my honest opinion, I feel that that is very beneficial. Her Q reveals out of bushes, since that it lifts them in the air, and it's something that people don't know about, but if you bubble somebody and it lands in a bush, they will be revealed, which is very good because it gives vision. And on top of that, it forces a pretty long stun, which is also good. And in tandem with that ability, you can stun them, auto attack, W, auto attack, heal your carry and yourself potentially, depending on how the flow goes, and then auto attack again, which is very good. Next, I would like to talk about her buff, and her E is very good, since that what it does essentially is it allows your carry to move faster while giving them a technicality red buff for 3 auto attacks. And by what I mean by a technical red buff is that you're moving faster on top of being able to make them move slower. So it's basically like having rage, having the rage ability, and then also having a red buff for 3 autos, which is very strong. If you're able to tandem that with your AD carry, they're not going to be getting away from you very soon, if at all. And then obviously her ultimate, it forces a displacement, and it slows and then deals great damage. So her ultimate is also very good. So I feel that good Nami players, if they're able to use their abilities correctly, then it's really helpful towards your team. And once you get into the habit of landing those Qs, knowing when your carry wants to go in, Nami requires a lot of just paying attention to what your carry wants. You have to know, okay, is my carry going for some last hits, or is my carry going into harass? Because you could really give your carry a significant buff with those 3 auto attacks if you land your E correctly at the right time, when they want to go in, when they want to engage, because then they can start slowing the enemy champion, and 9 out of 10 times they won't try to serpentine, they'll just try to run backwards, and then that'll make it really easy for you to land a Q, which will force them to stay longer. And then while you're fighting, you can give your carry some meta tanking by when they get closer to kite, you can use your W on them, which heals them while also damaging the enemy carry and gives them more move speed. So basically you just have a kit completely consistent with trying to kite them into oblivion and not allow them to escape. Very good support. I believe Nami is my number 2. Number 3 actually isn't on this list. Alright guys, let's talk about, give me just a second, I'll be right back. 3 support. I've already talked about Janna and I talked about Nami. Let's talk about the next one. Now this champion is actually not considered a support, but this is my personal favorite support. I wouldn't say is probably the best support, but I would definitely say that I highly appreciate this champion. Now if it would just show up, but it's not. This chick right here, Zyra, this is my baby. Like, no joke, if you see me supporting and you see me playing this chick, I am trying for you. I am trying absolutely to try and get you fed. If you were my AD carry and I play this chick, oh my god, please just expect to not lose, because I don't want to. If you ever see me play this as a support, my entire goal is to make sure that you absolutely 100% get fed. And sometimes I'll probably get fed too. And if I don't get fed, then when you look at the damage chart, you'll probably be like, damn, Zyra did the most damage on the team. Yeah, that happens a lot. So, let's talk about my favorite support champion, who's also a mid laner. A really good mid laner at that. Let's talk about Zyra. Okay, so Zyra. Her passive is when she dies, she gets to turn into a plant. And she aims at a person and she fires an ability and it kills them. It kills them usually. It does a very significant amount of true damage. A very significant amount of true damage. So when aimed correctly and timed right, you can definitely turn the tables on a team fight after all of the other damaging abilities that you're going to dump on them anyway. So let's talk about how I start with Zyra support. Because she can start a mid laner and you would start Q, which is a very good AoE damage ability. But since that you don't want to start Q as support, you usually want to start E. It really depends. It really depends on what kind of composition they have for bot lane. Because you can start E when they have usually a hard engage sort of team where they look like they want to fight constantly, then you can start E. And if they don't have double range. If they have double range, then you can start Q for a lot of harass. It just depends on how aggro you think the lane's going to be. If you think it's going to be a very high engage, high fight sort of comp, then you can start Q and then level your W second, or you can start E and level your W second if you think that it's going to be more passive lane. And they're going to try to go in sometimes. Like if you're fighting an Alistar, I would usually start E. But then again, in most cases, in most all cases, I will usually typically start E, simply because the E-W combo slows them, which is very good, and starts for early CC. Since that you want your carry to feel comfortable with trading with the enemies, you want to be able to do a high enough amount of damage and put them in a situation where the enemy AD carry doesn't really feel too safe about trading with you. So if they're getting smacked in the face by plants and they feel like they have to disengage, then obviously they're not gonna want to fight. So usually I start E and level E, or I start Q and level E. Depends on the matchup. The reason why I like Zyra is because she does so much damage. She has a free spell that does more damage if you use your abilities on her plants. That's just free damage. A lot of her damage comes from her plants. And then her ultimate is one of the best, in my personal opinion, one of the best, not only engage, but disengage things. Because simply, that is a massive AoE knock-up. You can get an entire team in the air. Hello, Yasuo. Thanks for ulting. Oh my god, it's just like it has so much potential. It's literally one of the things that I love most about this champion, is that her kit is basically a major kiting kit. Now, she does have a lot of movement problems when it comes to playing her, but once you learn how to use her, her abilities are absolutely amazing. Once you get the Frost Queen's Claim, you're going to get a lot of gold off that because you have a free dot ability that's basically like Morgana's W once you hit level 2. She has a very long range. I think it's still 575 or something like that. It's a really high range, a lot higher than some of the AD carries for her auto attacks, which also make proccing the Spell Thief's Edge or Frost Queen's Claim, whichever you may have at the time, a lot easier to do. And on top of that, once you're making all the money off that, you're also going to be building damage on her and then getting a little bit tanking depending on the kind of team comp that you're going against. There are very different ways to build her. All of them work pretty well. It just depends on what your team really needs. And you can go several different routes with building Zyra, and it's really fun to play her, in my personal opinion. And using her, she's my main champion. You can check out my na.op.gg account to see the sort of things that I do with that champion, since that I love playing her so much. I currently have if I recall, a 62% win rate out of 120 something games with her. So I really enjoy playing this chick. I think she's really good. But it's really fun to play this champion, and I absolutely love her to death. But the reason why she's my number 3 support champion is because she lacks some of the better supporting abilities, like the move speed on Janna. That's very good, which gives her a lot of disengage. She has 2 different disengaging abilities, such as Zyra does. However, Janna's ability to help people navigate the map a lot faster, I feel, is a lot more beneficial. Plus, her ability to heal people and completely meta tank for an entire team during a team fight is also very helpful. And her instant CC is a lot better than Zyra's delayed CC. All of her abilities are delayed. So Zyra's a different playstyle, but I still think that she's very strong. So that's why she's my number 3, because I feel that Nami and Janna are 2 of the best supports to play currently. So let's talk about my number 4 from here, since we've talked about Zyra. Let's go back to the support page. Who do I think is my number 4? Who is my number 4? This is very difficult, because it's either Thresh or Braum. Braum, I feel he's very good late game. He's the tank. And I also think Thresh is very good late game. He's also a tank. And when put in the right hands, those people are very detrimental. But a champion that I actually didn't talk on that I think I'm actually going to put higher than them is Lulu. Lulu's very good. She is. She has a move speed buff that is also a silence and a disable. It's just a disable. I mean, silence is disable, but at the same time, it's just a disable, because what it does is it changes them so they can't auto attack. It pacifies them, basically. It doesn't allow them to auto attack. It doesn't allow them to use abilities. It doesn't allow them to do anything except sit there and be a cute little bunny or something. So it's a very good skill, and then you can also use it for move speed on your allies, which is really good in case they need to get out quickly. Her Q is awesome. It allows her to slow people and prevent them from getting away, and does a decent amount of damage, and it allows them to trade. And then Pix is awesome. The Fairy Companion, she can put that on somebody by using her E, and with her E she can definitely save a few lives, which is really good because it'll give a shield and then it'll give them extra AD. It'll do AP damage whenever they auto attack. So that's basically a buff within itself. So you can keep picks on somebody, they get extra autos in, and they're allowed to mitigate damage that is dealt to them through the shield that is given, which is awesome. So great champion. She has a lot of CC. All of her abilities in some way have some sort of utility that is great, such as the move speed on her W that can also be used as a silence. The Q is a slow that does good damage. The E can be placed on somebody, and then you can Q from the E. So wherever Pix is, you can Q from that position, because technically you get 2 Qs at the same time. You get one for Pix and one for yourself. And then on top of that, her ultimate is great. She makes somebody huge, which forces a knock-up if anybody's too close. And on top of that, it gives the person more tankiness. It gives them more health based on the level of her ultimate, which is awesome. It's really awesome. So on top of that, it also gives it gains an aura around. I forgot about this, but it gains an aura around the champion that makes the enemy champions slow down. So it's very hard for me to say that Lulu wouldn't be one of my top 5 champions to play. So we've got Nami is number 2, Janna's number 1, we've got Zyra at number 3, which is my personal favorite, and we've got Lulu at number 4, which I actually think Lulu should be ahead of Zyra. I think Lulu, honestly, because of how her utility is and how she's played, it could be very well arguable that she's one of the top 3 support champions. I personally do not play a whole lot of Lulu, but I know that a lot of Lulu mains that do usually use her on a day-to-day basis are very happy with the way that she performs. I'm also very happy with the way that she performs as a support, and she's very difficult to play against. She's very difficult to play against, especially when you're playing against a Lulu that knows exactly what they're doing. So definitely a great champion, can definitely save a lot of lives, and is very good for helping people move around the map, which mobility I believe is just as great as vision. And obviously vision is still my primary concern when it comes to playing support. So number 5, out of these guys here, I would actually have to probably say Braum. Braum's really good. He's really good right now. A lot of people play him. He's pick or ban in ranked right now. And the reason why Braum is so good, because if one of his abilities hit you, or if he auto attacks you, you have 4 auto attacks to get away from him and the enemy AD carry, Because what he's going to do is he's going to kite you. He's going to CC you, and he's going to let the AD carry do a whole bunch of damage without much response. Because he's going to jump to his carry, give them tankiness and his stats from that. He's going to use his Q to slow you so that the AD carry can easily kite you and get those auto attacks off to force a stun on you with his passive, which is awesome because not only does it stun you, it actually does a bunch of damage on top of whatever the AD carry does as well. And then once you try to retaliate with anything, then he's going to use E to try and mitigate all of that damage that's dealt. And then obviously his ultimate is a massive knockup slash AoE slow. That is very awesome for team fights, like absolutely great for teammates. So it makes it really hard for me to say that Braum's not in the top 5 of supports that I like. But obviously the hook champions are great. A lot of the other champions are great. This is just something that I personally find very good to think about when choosing a support. The different things that you really need to consider when playing support are, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Do you want to do a bunch of damage? Do you want to be a tank? Do you want to save a life? It just all depends on what you want to do as a support. For example, I think Sona's a great support. I really do. I feel that her ability to navigate the map is great. I feel that her ability to heal is great. Her auras are awesome. Her ability into auto attack is pretty good and does lots of damage. The way that they changed her W to give a shield is also really great. It adds mitigation, extra mitigation to damage dealt, which makes it really hard for you as a carry and an enemy support to really do a lot of damage. So level 2 is very difficult against Sona. I have had a lot of great experiences as playing Sona. I've had a lot of great experiences playing against Sona. It's just really, you have to be careful with how she uses her abilities. A lot of people say that she's basically just a face roll champion. I disagree that she's a face roll champion. I mean, obviously sometimes I get a little salty and I'm like, man, Sona's just so easy to play. She's just so easy to play. But honestly, to be a good Sona, to be a really good Sona, it takes a lot of time to really make sure that you are landing the Qs properly, since that is not, it's not determined. It's going to go wherever it wants to go, but have priority towards champions. But in all honesty, it's just one of those things where if you don't land your ultimate, it's going to be very difficult for your team to win a fight, because that is one of her major CCs, and that is her only CC aside from her slow. That's wrong. She has various CCs. She does. She has her slow. She has her damage reduction. She has her healing reduction. She has those things. However, her major hard CC is her crescendo, and landing that is absolutely essential with Sona. Absolutely essential. Also, there's some other people I want to talk about. I want to talk about Thresh. I really like Thresh. You have to collect your souls, and you have to land your Qs. You have to land those Qs. And if you land a Q, you have to make sure it is safe to go in. If you're bot lane and they have 7 minions on their side and you have 4, but they still have their siege minion up and you don't, you can't go in, because that siege minion is going to destroy you. And then they're going to be able to win that trade, because technically you went in on a 2v3 because you didn't compensate, or you didn't think about the minions. Minions do a lot of damage, which I'm going to discuss that in other videos, but minions do a significant amount of damage that we really need to think about when we're playing support and AD carry, or any lane, because if you don't have the minions to back you up, when you go in, it's going to be very difficult for you to get out, because you might end up in a situation where you're going to lose a fight just because of minions, which is bad. You don't want that to happen. And from there, so landing your Qs is very essential. From there, I want to talk about the W. I want to talk about his shield, essentially. This is awesome. This is a free flash. This is a free flash. If your carry gets themselves in a bad situation, you can save a life. Legitimately free flash. and it also gives a shield, which is damage mitigation for if you want to go into a team fight and you want to protect some people. Fillets also great. Landing your fillets can be a good engage or a great disengage. It all depends on what you need at the current time. You can just walk up to somebody, they'll try to walk away, you flay them, you burn a flash, you Q them, you go in, you ult them. Which his ultimate is a great slow that does some great damage, and it'll basically make it really difficult for people to follow up. If they're trying to chase down your carry, if you just box in the lane, they'll have to walk around it, and if they walk through it, then they won't be able to catch up to you. Simple things like that. Thresh, I think, is one of the great supports. He's one of those high risk, high reward sort of champions. So it takes a lot of patience to play Thresh, in my personal opinion. You have to get really good at landing those Qs. You have to make sure you land those flays. You have to make sure that people will actually click your lanterns. A lot of people don't click lanterns, but when they do, it's very helpful. So understanding how Thresh works, if you don't even play Thresh, if you just play AD carry, just understanding how the lantern works with Thresh is very important. You need to know how that lantern works, because if you don't utilize that, then you're missing out on one of the very essential things that make Thresh a great support, since that he allows people to go put themselves in risky situations and get out without having to burn flash, which is huge, which is absolutely huge. Um, I don't like Zillion. I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't like Zillion. Every time he comes in, puts a bomb on one of the dudes, pushes my lane, and I end up under their tower with no vision. I mean, you know, those are the bad Zillion players, and that's just one example, but I'd have to actually play him before I make an honest opinion about him. Taric, I feel that he's good, but late game he kind of falls off a little bit. Just a little bit. And I'd have to say that he's not one of my most loved champions, but I feel like other champions do his job a little bit better. I feel that other champions do his job a little bit better. On top of that, Soraka, when it comes to playing Soraka, I feel she's good. I feel that the heal Soraka combo right now is really good. I personally don't play Soraka. However, I still feel that she's okay. Good Soraka is going to know what to do. She's going to know when to use her star call, because you don't always want to push the lane, which it will. She'll know when to use her heal, definitely, because that's a great damage mitigation that used to give, or actually it still does give armor. Her silence and her mana regen for ally champion is pretty great right now, and her AoE heal, that's awesome. That's an awesome ability and can save a lot of lives and turn around some fights that happen in other lanes. So I do believe that she's good. Nunu, I don't really play him support. I've seen him play jungle and top. Jungle and top Nunu is great. I think it's great. If you don't want anybody to have fun top lane, just get your eyes blast, go top, and just smack a bitch. It's not fun. Top Nunu is not fun to play against at all. At all. It is not fun. It is not fun. Let's look at some mages. Look at some mage supports here that I like to play. I'm going to talk about some of the other supports that I do play bot lane that you guys may be like, what the crap? But here's some other people. Karma. Let's talk about Karma. I like Karma. She does lots of damage. She's like in your face all the time. She has a great shield. Her tether's pretty good. She's hard engaged in my opinion, and she's high poke. She's high poke, hard engage, which is a pretty good combo. Late game, she doesn't really have any like great CC, but when it comes to laning phase, she's probably gonna win her lane. It's really hard for you to win a lane against a Karma. She's rather difficult to play against, but when it comes to late game, I feel that she has a lot more difficulty, simply because it's hard for her to save everyone. She can give everyone a shield and they can get out, but when it comes to you wanting to engage, if they have any sort of retaliation with multiple hard CCs, then it's going to be difficult for you to get out in case things go bad. So I feel that Karma, she's great. It's just a higher skill cap, and you have to know your limitations. I love Karma, and I think she can go great bot lane. I already talked about Zyra. She's one of my favorites. Lux, Mm, man, I see Lux's go bot lane, and every time, every time I get sad. It's like I don't lose to Lux bot lane. I do not. She has a great snare, she has a great slow, she does great damage, but when it comes to really adding a lot for the team, she has her ultimate late game. She does, and it does great damage. But she requires the team that has a lot of CC aside from her. Like, when you want to go bot lane with a support that doesn't really have much CC, that's the point where you have to make the decision, okay, what does my team have? Okay, we have 3 champions that have hard CC. Okay, I think me having 1 snare on Lux and a shield and a slow is going to be enough to complement the team and give us enough damage to win team fights, which is one of the major things. You have to have a balance between hard CC, damage, and tanks. I believe that those are very good, and I'll talk about those in a different video. But once you have that balance, then it's going to be great for your team comp. And I think that's all I want to talk about with Lux. Next, I would like to talk about Morgana. Morgana support's really good. She's not one of my personal favorites, but she's definitely really good right now. She's definitely absolutely really good right now. She's one of the champions that if you really want to win, you can. All you gotta do is just make sure you land your Q. You can start a Spell Thief's Edge on her and level up your W first so that you get some easy money that way. Her Black Shield's great. It's so good because it's like, oh, you have all this hard CC that you want to blow on the carry? Not today. Just get Black Shielded. Just got Black Shielded. And then her ultimate's pretty great. Does lots of damage. Does damage in 2 parts. Also forces a hard snare. And it also slows anybody in the field. So it's very difficult for people to get away. And it's very difficult for people to fight when that ult is happening. Because she goes in, she's Anya's. If you're trying to fight, they all get stunned and then they all die. Because not only does that do lots of damage, but she's invulnerable and your entire team's wailing on everyone at the same time. So she's a great support. Then, of course, she has good Spell Vamp, which allows her to sustain in lane when fighting against her. Somebody that I've been seeing a lot more bot lane is Veigar, because let's talk about this dude for a second. He's not one of my favorite supports, but he is definitely one of my favorite people to see bot lane. You can run targets on him to stack your Q, so he's an infinitely scaling champion that you take bot lane. Great. So he's going to get more damage throughout the game, regardless of building damage or not. He will get his damage. His AoE on his E is significant. That AoE stun is huge. Is absolutely huge. And it's basically a Sona ult. It's a Sona ult without the damage. It's like a 3-second snare? Yeah, it's up to a 3-second snare. That's pretty big. That's 3 seconds. No joke. That's significant. His abilities scale from the magic of your enemy, so if you're going against a high magic team or a high magic damage team, then he's gonna scale based off of them alone, which is great. And then his Q is gonna stack forever, so you can build him kind of AP tanky, get him a bunch of shields. But I think he has one of the best hard CCs, and just one of the best snares in the game. Because Sona's got her forward shooting AoE stun with her Crescendo. That's up like every 40-50 seconds. Veigar has that every 5 seconds. So think of a Sona ult every 5 seconds once you get later in the game. I mean, you have that thing level 1, or you have it level 2. It's gonna be great for you and your carry in lane. And we'll talk about some of the other things. It's just like when you want to go bot lane with different people, you just got to think about, what is this really going to do? How's this going to benefit anyone? How are we going to do well with this composition? So you really need to think about some of the things like that. And then once you get those sort of things down, then you can start taking anybody you want to bot lane. Just make sure you know what you need to do and know what your team needs altogether if you want to win a game as an unconventional support AD carry bot lane, because you don't even have to go AD carry support. You can go whatever you want to bot lane. and do really well. It's just a matter of you understanding the champion, their strengths and weaknesses, and what exactly you can do to win the lane and essentially win the game. But alright guys, that's basically my top 5 supports that I wanted to talk about. I also talked about a few Q&A that you guys had for me, and in the next episode of Objectives Over Kills, we will be talking about the jungle. This is just something that I wanted to upload for you guys, just something really short, just to see how everything's going and touch base with you guys and let you know that I am reading your comments. If you want to leave more comments and likes below, I will definitely look into those. And thanks for watching, guys.